back after dark, but not really after dark. We're after coffee today, and we are joined, right, after coffee?
I like that.
All right.
I like it.
We're joined by none other than Furman head coach Bob Richey, coming off a huge win. What have you been doing to, kind of celebrate that win? I mean, you beat Tony Bennett in the NCAA tournament. Like, that should go down in your gravestone, to be honest. We're going to put that on there.
I can see that. I mean, it's,
right?
I mean, it was a remarkable night. I mean, obviously, to be honest, I've been on the other side of it, and I felt really bad, for Kihei and what he's been for college basketball in that program. And to be honest with you, what Tony stands for, a lot of people through this have said, hey, what are coaches that you've watched? He's definitely one of 7 for me that, I've studied through the years. What he stands for as his person, but also as his program. I hate it had to be at their expense, but it was a magical night for us.
Yeah.
And, it was one of those nights where, just to be honest, I think sometimes as coaches we try to, it was a is this real moment?
Dream about
it.
It
was like what is going
surreal?
on? Surreal? I'm walking through the hotel and I'm like, how do we get our guys' feet back on the ground? How do I get my feet back on the ground? I don't know if we played our cards necessarily correct in all those scenarios, but at the same time, I wasn't really trying to zap all the joy out of our players. We went home the same weekend as Duke, Kentucky, Kansas, and we're at Furman. And
we're good.
I got all these texts, Jeff, of man, tough day. I'm like, man, not tough at all.
Day? Right.
Not tough at all. San Diego State's a really good team, as we see.
Yeah.
I think people thought I was just saying that in the media afterwards of they can go as far as they want. I still believe that. And they're old. This is the best defense I've seen in 6 years.
Really?
And, Duke, my first year, but, it was an unbelievable defensive performance. And it's a pretty neat story for what those guys have done.
What I will say is this. You asked what he's been doing. This is the most well-rested I've seen Bob, and I've known him for about
Looks
2
good,
years.
man.
I'm going to tell you what.
Looks like he's been sleeping.
I haven't been to a Final Four in a long time. And Jessica and I, we have some friends that come out as couples all the time. And Chad Warner's joined our staff this year, and he's it's been a campaign to my wife about we got to get Bob back. And he was like, look, you can sleep, I like to eat good. We'll eat good, we'll rest up. And I've gotten a little bit the ride, so to speak, for us, and Matt knows this, in our level it is a ride. It's we had to go to Sanford for the regular season, sold out, national TV on CBS. We win, first 1 seed since 1990 at Furman. Well, then we got to go to Asheville. Well, that's 5 days. It's emotional. First time since 1980. Well, then we go to Orlando, first win in 46 years in the tournament. And so for us, it was like a 3-week deal of just hitting these new peaks and the emotions of it. It's been good to come down here and rest a little bit.
Some of those bus trips too.
Man,
In the Southern Conference.
it wears on
You
you.
trying to get to Cullowhee, North Carolina, man? It'll wear on you a little bit.
Nobody wants to
I
go to
wanna ask you
Cullowhee.
this.
Nobody wants to go to Cullowhee. I can promise.
I don't think people understand just how good that league is. And there's some really good teams and really good programs, and good teams and good programs. You look back at Steve Forbes, what he did at ETSU, or Wes Miller, what he did at Greensboro, but you're the one that was able to win that game. And there's a lot of Southern Conference programs that were picked in the first round to advance past it.
Yep. Well,
Because there's good teams and good coaches, but you guys were able to do it.
I'm going to say something a little controversial with this, but you understand where I'm going with this, okay? The shock of parity in the game shouldn't be a shock anymore. Okay, we should be able to look at this Final Four and say, okay, this is real. Okay, for some reason the floor's been lifted and the ceiling's been dropped.
Why? You say for some reason.
Yeah, I'll say why. Okay, the floor has been lifted because of the portal. Okay, so if you're not great, you can improve quicker. Okay, because you can get some experience faster. The ceiling, you're not going to be able to stack talent because these guys aren't going to sit on the bench forever. If there's no path, they're going to leave. So you've got this transitory element in our game that has shifting parts to it. But here's another thing. And again, he'll understand where I'm going with this. The league still doesn't get the credit it deserves because what you're seeing is the computers don't want to acknowledge parity yet. Okay, so we lose at Cullowhee, all right? We drop 18 spots, all right? We go on an 8-game win streak in our league, which includes a win on Sanford. That was 1-8 in a row. We win at Greensboro. 8-game SoCon win streak. We improve 18 spots.
After winning 8.
Okay, so what you're seeing right now is in the computers, at the mid-level, if you win, there's no reward. If you lose, you get smashed.
Yes.
At the high level, if you win, there's an incredible reward. If you lose, you don't move.
Right.
And so what's happening is like we beat Virginia, we're 89.
Yeah.
We beat Virginia, we go to a whopping 88. Virginia's 13, they go to a 14. Well, how do we compete with that?
Like how do you don't have the opportunities to play those teams?
Because
they get through that too. I think high major wise they struggle with that too because then it becomes harder for you because they don't want to play you because like I don't get.
But that's what I'm saying. But as long as the gap in the computers is this far out, when we see with the Final Four, the gap's not as far as the computers are saying it is.
No question.
But as long as this gap appears this wide, well, we're not going to be able to see a lot of what we just got to see. We're going to be surprised once we get to the tournament.
Yeah.
But we're not going to get the experience of, like, people don't know how good Mike Jones' team at Greensboro was this year.
They're good.
People don't know how good Bucky had that team rolling at Sanford this year. Like, I'm telling you, like, it's a deal where I'm obviously passionate about it, but it's the truth.
I told you this last year because I covered the championship game, which hell of a game you guys could have very easily won a year ago. Mike Young moves on, comes out of that league. Forbes, Parrish. I mean, there's so many more guys, obviously.
Let's not forget our guy here.
I won't forget him. I won't forget him.
Ignore him.
Goodman said it was a bad hire. Goodman said it was a bad hire.
I say that to say all those guys moved on.
He said Bergeron was a bad hire.
You're staying in Furman. What's so special about Furman to get you to stay? Because we know you had opportunities. What's so special about that place to get you to stay?
Well, first of all, 8 years ago, we were 300 in RPI. Okay, so the build of this, it's been a lot of fun for me personally. I like to see growth. I think that I want to coach in the Final Four one day. I'm ambitious, but I also enjoy seeing things done that haven't been done before. And I think we have a moment, like, the narrative has always been like it's been 1980, 1980, 1980. Well, now guess what? We just did it. So I want to kind of see, I'm curious, like, and T.O. everybody that was down in the event in Greenville, we have a gold mine in our city, right? Like, we're about to put $40 million into an arena. Jason Donnelly, my boss, is incredible. He understands basketball. My president, Elizabeth Davis, the board, like, they're going crazy right now. And so for me, like, it's like, do I want to go into something that I'm not totally passionate about, right? Or does this allow me to continue to build what we're building here and also be patient?
It's like Dusty. You're in similar situations, right? Like, now, obviously, Furman right now is in a much better spot, I think, than FAU is, but he's going to get upgrades. He's going to use this to leverage.
That's right.
Whether it's more money for his staff, whether it's upgrades to the facility, whatever it is, you probably don't need quite as much right now as he needs to get up there. But still, what you're going to be able to do, you don't have to leave. You don't have to job hunt.
It makes it to where you can. We get to do it a certain way, and like everybody has their way, right? Like you study coaching, and you watch coaching. Seth Davis' book, good example. Like you read 30 pages on like 8 coaches. And what you see is you're like, all right, what's the commonality? Well, there's no commonality, but they've got a convicted way that nobody can talk them out of, right? Like there's all kind of different ways to do it, but like you look at it, you're like, well, the conviction is the consistent part. Furman aligns with who I am in terms of my beliefs, right, my values, how we do it. One of few teams in the tournament that all 5 starters only wore a Furman jersey. And not that I'm against the portal and transfer, and that's not what I'm saying, but I'm excited about what we can continue to do. And we had 2 guys that were incredibly old and good, and Jalen Slauson and Mike Bothwell. I firmly acknowledge that. But we were also, if you look at the underclassmen production in our league, we were 4th. So you got VMI was the top. They started like all freshmen. Then you had Wofford. Then you had ETSU. Well, then you had us. 5 of our 9 that played were underclassmen. And the MVP of the SoCon tournament was a sophomore. And all those guys have decided to stay. And we feel like that we can continue to push this margin out. That's great. And that's what we're excited about doing.
After you had that win, and obviously you talked about the stepping stones and, winning the league and then winning in Asheville and then winning the game in the tournament. We talked in February, and you showed us around showed John Fanta, well, it wasn't February, it was December, but you showed us around the facility and where the upgrades are going to come. Has it jolted it even more to this point? I mean, what's been the latest on Furman's campus? Because I know I'm going to be up there quite a bit.
Well, without going into a lot of details, there's an announcement coming up, and there was already an announcement about a gift that was given $10 million for the facility, but within the next month calendar, you're going to hear another announcement, and it's been neat because when in Wake Forest, like when you're at a place that has a big time degree. There's a lot of that we've had to battle through when not being good of like, hey, is it one or the other? And I think what's been neat is like I got this long email from a faculty person yesterday. Like now all of a sudden you're seeing these people like merge this, right? And you're seeing like, hey, it's not athletics or academics. Like, we can do this together. And I think like Mike Bothwell got a leadership award on Sunday, and the person over the Leadership Institute's been there 29 years, and she said, I've never seen anything on campus like this, right? And so like, I think you're going to see one thing interesting going back to the buzzer beater that really helped us was, yes, it could have been looked at in negative light. Hey man, those guys got beat at the buzzer. There was also this energy from our fan base was like, we're this close.
Oh man.
You know what I mean? Like we're right there. Like we're on the 1 yard line. Let's push this over. Well, now all of a sudden they went to Orlando, and you got people like, hey man, this is unreal. Like, what do we got to do to keep pushing this out? It's created a different conversation, and as coaches, those are the ones that we want to be in.
That's great, man. I mean,
It's the best game I called in my career so far.
All right.
It was a hell of a game.
Furman's Bob Richey, thanks for joining us, man.
Absolutely.
Thanks
It's
for
been a
coming, Bob.
pleasure. I
Really
appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Congrats. Hell of a season.
Thank you.
Hell of a way to end the season. And now you might have to hit the portal, though. You
Hey.
might have to finally hit the
But
portal.
Bob, let me say
We'll
this.
see. I mean, we've added one the past 2 years.
Yep.
I'm not totally against it. We got one spot right now.
That's it.
We only got one.
You had
Everybody,
all your meetings. Everybody's signed in. Everybody's locked in.
Hey, we lost. We got back Sunday. I had 15 player meetings Monday and Tuesday.
There you go.
And that's just what it is right now, right? But all our guys want to come back.
Well, I mean, why wouldn't you? You know, again, and obviously NIL probably play a little bit of a part. And
Yep.
you and I talked about earlier this season. No matter where you are, you got to be talking, trying to get some NIL for these kids,
100%.
to keep them. And obviously, if you're going to go to the portal, bring them in.
well,
No,
hey,
the only thing I'll say is you're having tremendous success, doing an unbelievable job, and
Thank you.
obviously there's going to be, schools, bigger schools, whatever you do. Don't take one in the Northeast ever, because this guy is going to call it a bad hire. Us Southern guys are supposed to stay in the South. They're supposed to stay in the South because
I
he'll
walked
say
in,
it's
I
a
sat down,
bad
I heard
hire.
him saying, man, I was scared for you. I'm like, oh, what have I walked into?
We can't understand you guys up there. All right? We can't even understand McCall. It took us 3 years. So
Hey, we're getting him down to Charleston, though.
Let's go. Yeah, he's out.
Exactly.
He's out of the cold.
we
He's
made
done.
I'm
He's
going
had
to try
enough.
to come down there.
He's
All right,
had
when we
enough.
come back, Field of 68 After Dark, we'll talk about who has the most on.
Today's episode of the Field of 68 After Dark is presented by our partners over at Underdog Fantasy, the easiest place to play college basketball pick'em, where you can win real cash prizes simply by picking player stats in this weekend's Final Four games. In pick'em, all you do is pick whether a player will go higher or lower on Underdog's projected totals, whether it's points or rebounds or assists or all of them combined. If you're like me and you think Adama Sanogo is going to go nuts this weekend, pick higher on his points projection, pick higher on his rebounds projection, maybe throw in a lower on Matt Bradley's scoring totals, a higher on Isaiah Wong, whatever it is that you like. Put them all together, and if you hit them all, then you can win as much as 20 times your money on a single game. Underdog's slick mobile app is easy enough that dummies like Jeff Goodman have even figured out how to use it. So go to UnderdogFantasy.com or download the app and use the code FIELD, that's FIELD, to get a 100% deposit match up to $100.